Welcome back to Ask the Imam show. This is Gary Payne, Imam Musri. Thanks for coming back again.
Glad to be here.
I'd like to talk to you about the prayer thing. You were talking to me before that you guys do in the Islam 5 prayers and kind of explained to me vaguely how you pray facing Mecca and stuff. But I was just kind of curious about the prayer compared to the Christian way of life. As growing up as a little boy, I remember how my mommy used to get me, put my knees in the bed before I go to bed and put our hands together. We had this little prayer that we'd have to say every night about our, asking God to forgive us or asking God to help, thank you for the day. We'd always at church, we'd have to say a certain, we'd pray at church, and there's, formatted. But with you, I believe you told me that you guys only have 5 prayers. And to be honest with you, there's times when, man, I feel like I'm tested, and 5 ain't gonna do it for me, and sometimes I feel like I need like 200 prayers in that one particular day. Are you limited to this? Are you like, you can only pray 5 times? And not to be a double question, but you also have this one prayer, I don't know what you call it in the morning, where you get up like the crack of dawn, like 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning. Is that a mandatory? Because I don't know if I could do that. If couldn't you pray at 7 or 8? I'm sorry for a double question thing, but
no problem. Well, prayer is an important pillar in Islam. In other words, every Muslim should be engaged in prayers. It is communicating with God, asking God for what you need, what you want, for protection, for help, for support. Now, we have 2 types of prayers. One that you refer to, the 5 daily prayers. Those are formal, very specific, have specific times to them. They are concise, described how they should be done. Those are called salats.
Okay.
And then there is what you call prayers, and we call it dua or supplication, where you pray based on what you need, and you could do it anytime, anywhere. It doesn't have any prerequisites. So let me explain the difference. The first type, the formal prayers, we have specific times for them. The first one that you mentioned at the crack of dawn, it's actually called the dawn prayer or Fajr prayer, because the time for it starts from dawn till sunrise. So you have about an hour and a half to get up and wash up, prepare, and then speak to God, face Mecca, pray to God. And the formal prayer involves, recitation from the Quran. It involves bowing, and it involves prostrating on the ground, putting your face on the ground. And you pray to God for what you need. The prayer takes maybe 5 to 10 minutes, but it is required. So this is the first one. Now it goes till the middle of the day, after the sun is off the zenith of the sky. We do the second prayer. We call it the noon prayer. And the time for that begins at noon and goes to mid-afternoon, when the sun is about 45 degrees. So you can choose 5 to 10 minutes within that period to, again, wash up and stand facing Mecca and speak to God and ask for what you need. The third prayer starts the time zone from mid-afternoon till sunset time. You have to find time to pray in those few minutes. The fourth is right after sunset till nightfall. And the fifth one is from nightfall until the next morning, until the crack of dawn. These 5 prayers are universal. Muslims across the world are supposed to do them, both men and women. Young people can do them starting around age 7, and it requires washing up, where you wash your hands and your face, you brush your teeth, you wash your arms, you wash a little bit of your hair, and you wash your feet. So these prayers are described in details, what to say in them, how to do them, what times, and so on. The second type, we said, is more supplication. Let's say you heard bad news about your loved one, you can instantly turn to God in prayer and say, God, I pray to you to help my loved one, or to cure them, or to protect them, or help them in their exam at the school. Or so this spontaneous prayers, you can do as many as you want, the more the better, and you are communicating with God. So it doesn't require washing up, it doesn't require facing Mecca, it doesn't require recitations from the Quran, it doesn't require anything except you immediately turn to God in whatever position you are. You could be standing, running, sitting down, driving.
Driving?
Anytime, yeah,
Okay.
driving. Many people pray a lot when there is a policeman behind them.
Myself included.
Yes. And many kids, they say there are no prayers in schools, but we say, at exam time, all kids pray.
Sure.
So those are supplications. You're asking God, invoking God's help in the moment for what you need. And that is encouraged. And in the Quran, God says, "Id'uni astajib lakum." Ask me, pray to me, I will answer you. We believe strongly in prayer and the power of prayer.
So you're not limited to the 5 prayers, as you just said. So now,
No, we're
what
not.
I was saying, if I want to pray 200 times today, it's okay.
Yes, but we have seasons like Ramadan where we pray extra. Like at night, after we break the fast, we stand up for 2-3 hours in the formal prayers, where we pray together in the mosque, and we, recite the whole Quran during the month. So every day we recite, 1/30th of the Quran. By the end of the month, we covered the whole thing, and during those formal prayers. The prayer in Arabic called salat comes from the word connection, which refers to having a connection with God, to communicate with God. And it is the most important pillar after the declaration of faith, because if a person is a Muslim but doesn't pray, then he or she is really not a Muslim. So you have to communicate with God. You have to pray to God, ask God, seek God's help.
Or I think any religion, Christian or Jew. What I kind of admire, truthfully, is the fact that you're saying, because as Christians and Jews or any religion, it would make sense to do this. If you touch the Torah, the Bible, that you would, I guess you'd say, if I'm saying this right, you cleanse yourself, so to speak, because you're touching a holy book. Is that why you do this? Because I've heard that's what you do when you touch the Quran or when you pray, correct?
Yeah, so there are what you call hygienic reasons, practical reasons.
Sure.
If you wash 5 times a day, okay, in the morning and at noon when you're taking break, just you pray and then you eat lunch. In the mid-afternoon, in the evening, before dinner, at night before you go to sleep. The Prophet says, if somebody is living by the river and every day he washes himself in the river 5 times, do you think he will be dirty? And they said no. He said, well, that's the prayers. These salats, these prayers that you do 5 times a day, actually cleanse you spiritually, cleanse you from the inside, and physically you are also doing the washing. We call it wudu or ablution. You're washing to prepare for the prayers. You have to be clean. So you are physically clean. You stay physically clean all the time. And because it involves washing your hands, your mouth, your teeth, and all of that. So I believe that it is not just prescribed for spiritual reasons, but for real hygienic health reasons.
No, I agree with the hygienic. I think personally, when I was studying some stuff that you've been telling me and sharing with me at the wudu, I think a lot of Christians and Jews and a lot of religions would get more benefit by touching their book if they showed it more secretary, and had more respect for it.
Yeah.
Instead of just coming in from work from the farm and grabbing the Bible,
Yeah.
so to speak. If you showed it that it's a little bit more precious, I guess I would say. That's what I respect about what you guys are doing by cleaning yourself before you grab the Quran, before you read it, before you take it serious.
And we use the second prayer, the noon prayer on Friday. we turn it into the weekly prayer. We add a sermon to it. So as an imam, I would deliver a sermon before the prayer and then do the prayer. And this is the congregational prayer equivalent to on Sunday for
church.
Christians or Saturday for the Jews. So we have on Friday in the midday this congregational prayers. That's why you would see a lot of Muslims leaving work on Friday going to the mosque, because that's our time for the weekly congregational prayer.
That's your Sunday.
Yes.
All right. Well, I definitely appreciate you explaining a little in depth about the prayer. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them at the end of this, and see you guys next time.